Hey there, Dan Martell here, serial entrepreneur, investor, and creator of SaaS Academy. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to qualify your B2B SaaS leads so you don't spend time with tire kickers and people that frustrate you and folks that were never going to buy anyways, and instead get deals closing faster. And be sure to stay to the end where I share with you a framework called my Rocket Demo Builder. It's a 5 principles to delivering incredible sales demos, and it includes the call flow that I use to close deals twice as fast and not give a boring product demo. So one of the biggest challenges when you're trying to scale your sales is making sure that you have somebody doing an SDR role. So I coach a ton of SaaS founders that sell SMB and mid-market and enterprise products, and they have SDRs in their companies that are either qualifying inbound leads or doing outbound qualifying and then kicking them up to what's called an AE or an account executive to do the demo. The thing that they need to do first is making sure that they've defined what makes a qualified lead and walk them through a process. And I'm going to share with you guys what I've learned, not only doing thousands of sales calls myself, selling millions of dollars of software, and making sure that even though I was trying to close something, I wanted to make sure that I was talking to the right person, but more importantly, helping hundreds of other software founders build this competency and strategy into their business. Here are the 6 ways to qualify a SaaS lead. Number 1, funnel filter. So the first thing you want to do when you're doing any kind of lead gen is think of and I have a whole video on defining your ideal customer profile, so I'm not going to get into that. You can search it and find it on my channel. But if you have lead generation campaigns going on, some demand marketing stuff, what I call the attract phase of your SaaS growth engine, then you want to make sure that you add those funnel filters to the submission form. So usually it's things around role, industry size or revenue size, and number of employees, because between those things you can kind of figure out if they're even qualified to talk to from a pure customer profile point of view. So make sure that if you have opt-ins for lead magnets or webinar registrations, or even maybe you want to put it on your free trial sign up, funnel filter those people before they get into your system so that you can easier qualify them. Number 2, behavior. The beauty of today's world is we can literally track the customer's interaction with our website. I call this the click stream. It's just a fun way for me to think about it is that, if somebody becomes an opportunity in our system, I can actually go look at their history there's so many different tools. So I'm not going to talk about the tools per se. I just want to talk about the process. You can Google it. But monitoring or looking at all the different pages they visited on your website before they actually signed up for a trial and or downloaded that lead magnet. And so when you're talking to them, you got so much more context. They visited your pricing page. They looked at your about page. That's a great one. They looked at these specific blog articles on your website. That information is deadly to help you understand do they know enough information about the business for you to assume that they're qualified, or do you need to kind of step back and kind of reconnect with who they are and kind of what they know about the business and start there to build that connection. Number 3, challenges. How immediate is their requirements to solve their problems today? They have frustrations or something going on where they don't feel like either the information's flowing properly, or it's costing them too much money to accomplish something, or somebody's not being tracked properly and they want to solve that problem. What your job is to figure out is how to qualify how immediate is their challenges to resolve in the business from a timing point of view to know that it's something that's a now thing. If you think of a market, okay, like this is the coolest thing ever. I'm not saying that jokingly, it's pretty neat. You have 1,000 potential customers. Most people are in market for probably 2 months throughout that window. So if you think you have 1,000 potential customers, if you start January, February, and it's kind of like a lens that kind of goes across those 1,000 customers throughout the year. In January, February, that whatever it is, 18%, 16% of the market is going to be in market. And as you move across the timeline of that year, out of the same 1,000, these people are no longer in market and these ones are ready and they're in market. So that's just the way I think about it. 2 months window. And I want to figure out is what their problem, their challenges they're dealing with today, is it a now thing or a later thing? Because really I'm trying to find, if you call it 1,000 people in a market, I'm trying to find the ones that are ready to buy today. And if not, they're not qualified. So just think about that mental model next time about, hey, there's a window, it's 12 months, it's scanning, 2 months, it's a different group of people. And that's why marketing works so well. You could have stuff, you're like, well, these people have already heard about that. Those people aren't even paying attention to your marketing anymore because they've either decided it wasn't a priority or moved on to another solution, or they got fired. So literally you can send the same message in the market because the group of people that are in market ready to buy today from timing point of view is different. Number 4, the role. Are you talking to the decision maker? Now, it doesn't mean that if they don't have the ability to buy, that you just hang up the phone. Because you want to figure out they could be a champion. And that is probably the most important. If you're doing mid-market or enterprise deals, you want to find that champion inside, which is kind of like the driver of the deal versus the economic buyer. Because somebody might be the person that decides what they're going to spend, but somebody else could be your inside supporter to help give you some kind of insights into what needs to happen to actually move a deal forward. So to me, it's really important to figure out what is the role that person, and obviously you can check on LinkedIn, and it's actually pretty much standard practice. If you ask them and it's public information, that you're kind of not doing your job. But I think you can go deeper into kind of like, how do decisions get made? How have you been involved in other decisions just like this? What software have you bought in the past 6 months to solve a business challenge? Just to kind of get an idea of how their involvement is perceived in the organization to make a decision to buy a solution like yours. Number 5, authority. Very similar to the role, but it's really just trying to qualify the economic buyer. Do they have authority to make that purchase? Or maybe they have authority to spend up to maybe $5,000 without having to get budget approval or trying to go through the whole process of getting a PO or whatever. You might want to just figure out how to change what you're selling to address their challenges to bring the price down to still get the buyer. So at the end of the day, you want to figure out what their level of authority is, because maybe it's not to do the bigger deal where it's more of an enterprise rollout, but they might be able to buy a POC, a proof of concept. And this is where I see a huge opportunity for a lot of my clients in the mid-market or enterprise space to figure out what would a lower cost POC, proof of concept, to deploy within that organization you're already talking to, that the person can actually make a decision around. What would it look like so that you can move the sale forward, even if the person doesn't have the authority? So that is number 5, how to qualify. Number 6, product fit. At the end of the day, they have problems they need to solve, and you're asking yourself, does my solution solve those problems? And more importantly, how well does it align with their challenges? Because the way I think about selling any product, think about this. The customer's standing at the bottom of a mountain. At the top of the mountain is the results or outcomes or success they want to achieve. And at the bottom of this mountain, there's a row of vehicles of essentially change. There's different types of vehicles. There's motorbikes and four-wheelers and Jeeps and dune buggies and all these different, there's rock climbing gear, and there's all these different vehicles of change that can help them get to the top of that mountain. And your job is to sell your specific vehicle. So, because at the end of the day, they could buy your solution or somebody else's. So what you're trying to do is make sure, and this is upfront qualifying, is that what they're trying to achieve, that mountain is best suited for your vehicle. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to spend 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. I've seen some of my clients spend up to a year and a half thinking they're going to get a deal, planning their business around this big enterprise deal, only to find out that at the beginning, the solution they were building and the customer's challenge were not aligned, and somehow that was missed, and they only figured it out at the end. It is heart-wrenching to see, and it happens all too often because they didn't qualify that specific alignment at the beginning. So real quick, 6 steps to qualify your B2B SaaS leads. Number 1, funnel filter. Number 2, the behavior on your website. Number 3, challenges. 4, the role. 5, authority. And number 6, product fit. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I want to share with you the Rocket Demo Builder. Essentially, it's a 9-box model, a conversation flow you can use to double your sales conversions. I also cover the 5 key principles of having a rocket demo. Number 2 is amazing, the virtual close. I think it'll really serve you. And more importantly, you want to not have boring demos. So click the link below. You can download your copy of that today. And if you like this video, be sure to click the like button. Subscribe to my channel. If there's anybody you think it can serve, feel free to share it with them directly. As per usual, I want to challenge you to live a bigger life and a bigger business, and I'll see you next Monday. Am I wearing the same shirt?